Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I'm here today with Clara Campagno. Clara is an international speaker and trainer, best-selling author, and executive producer of the Working Woman's Channel and Living Real TV. Her passion is in helping women in business take back control of their time and get clear on their goals, all without burnout. She will help you work smarter so you can create more time, generate more business, and design a life you love, all on your terms. Today, we talked about how to avoid burnout, how to recognize burnout, how to be clear and have clarity so we don't waste our time with so many distractions, chasing too many squirrels, and getting off of what our true mission and purpose are. We also talked about unrealistic expectations, how they form a prison, and then creating the mindset of a CEO, 4 key factors that we need to be the CEO of our life and business. And then last but not least, Clara walked us through the 7 core areas that lead to success. This was such a great episode today. If you've been suffering from overwhelm, burnout, doing too much, and not feeling enough, I hope you guys really enjoy this. Without further ado, we're going to dive into this episode with the one, the only, Clara Capano. I'm excited to welcome Clara Capano to the Sisterhood of Sweat today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for letting me be a part of it with you.
Oh, 100%. I really resonated with your message. I love the fact that you were helping women with burnout,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that we had, ever since we went into the workforce, we've kind of been on this superhero cape,
Mm-hmm.
superwoman journey, and we think that we have to do everything.
Ah, so much. And yeah, I mean, we are just living life on the hamster wheel and there has to be a better way of doing it because we're showing up completely depleted and therefore we're not being able to truly, give the best of ourselves to anyone.
Oh, that is the truth. And
Mhm.
owning a business is a lot of different hats that you put on. And then if you're
Mhm.
a mom and a wife and a friend and all of the things. So
Mhm.
how can you help women today to work smarter to create more time
Mhm.
and steer clear from all this burnout when they have
Right.
goals and they think, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, and then pretty soon they're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I created what I call the clarity method to success. And all of that came out of my own personal story of dealing with burnout and complete breakdown. And I was that woman that you were talking about, where I was driven by how many boxes can I check off? And I did. I checked off a lot of boxes. And by the time I was 35, even though I had the house on the golf course, I had the fancy car, I had all the prestige, I was completely lost, empty, depressed, had health issues. And, finally one night, because I was also a single mom at the time, it was my son who was about 3.5. He pretty much took the phone out of my hand and said, Mom, you're not paying attention to me. And, I had a real decision to make in that moment of was, was this going to be the way that it was? Was I going to be just getting up every day and just, being very reactive to everything that was thrown at me? Or was I going to find a better way and be committed to finding a way to create a path to success that worked for me? free from judgment, free from, any type of expectations of others. And, what I really work with women on is this concept of being more intentional. I think so many of us talk about, we don't want burnout anymore, and we want this thing called balance. And at the heart of all of that is that if we just work with more intention, we're going to have better focus. And that's what's going to help us not find balance, but find harmony between our personal and professional lives. And I think that's what most of us are really striving for, is how can we make it work the best way possible for us, and understanding some of the trade-offs that we have to make. But, balance doesn't exist. And the more that we chase this idea of something that doesn't exist, we never get there. And then we feel like failures.
Well, see, now when you have your kids in place, at least you have the reason to be like, no, I can't, no.
Oh,
But
yeah.
once they're out of the nest, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I want to do all the things. And then again, you find that you need clarity,
Mm-hmm.
because you could be chasing all of the squirrels out there.
Absolutely.
How do
And
we
there's many of them.
decide? How can you bring us into clarity? What questions do we need to ask ourselves so that we're more clear
Sure.
about what we want? Because I think that helps to keep you from chasing all the squirrels.
Absolutely. And, one of the things I try to get the people that I work with to do is this idea of checks and balances. Like you said, what are the questions we need to ask? So when you have your day planned out, when you have all of your plans, when something new comes in, you have to stop and ask yourself a couple of questions. So one question to ask is, does this make good business sense? So if I choose to do this new thing, is it moving me towards my goal? Is it moving me towards my vision? Because if it makes good business sense, then we may want to alter and pivot. But if it doesn't make good business sense, then we probably don't want to take it on. Then you can also go to, if I say yes to this new thing, what is it I have to say no to? Because you can't say yes to something without saying no to something else. So again, am I going to be saying yes to my goals? Am I going to be saying yes to my family? Because if something new comes up and it's going to take me away from the things that are most important to me, then it may not be the right thing to do right now. So I think, asking those questions to really, before you agree to do something, to really just get yourself clear on, are you making solid, smart decisions that are moving you forward? Because not everything is created equal. And I remember, since I'm a speaker, people come to me all the time. Can you speak at this event? And my initial reaction is absolutely, but I have to do it from a business standpoint. How many days is it going to take me away? Is it with my target audience? What's the budget with it? Is it going to connect me with the right people? So it's not just a simple yes or no. You have to look at, how does it fit into the general vision of what it is we're trying to create?
Yeah, I love that. I know for me, you just provided clarity as you were talking.
Thank you.
And I can feel that you provided clarity for some of the listeners out there. What do you tell people to do in order to leverage their time and manage their distractions? And what would you consider distractions? Like, I think people don't realize they're being distracted all the time, everywhere.
Yeah. Well, scientifically, we are distracted every 3 minutes. And the scarier thing is it takes us about 17 minutes to get our focus back. So we have to understand, and most of us fight this thing of distractions with this concept of multitasking. And we have to start understanding multitasking doesn't work, because when you try to multitask, science even tells us that it takes twice as long to do something, and you do it with 3 times greater error. So it's not good. We think we're doing these things and we're accomplishing, but it's actually taking us backwards. So we have to understand the distractions are not going to stop. And distractions can be anything from the alerts on our phone and our computers to the God minutes from people around us. It could be the squirrels that are playing outside of our window. I mean, anything can be a distraction. So we have to do a better job of trying to manage or minimize the distractions. So the best tool that I have, it's one that I refer to as bubble time. It's not necessarily a new concept. I just call it bubble time. And the idea is you go into your bubble and you work for a set period of time with no distractions. So for me, my sweet spot is 45 minutes. So what I do is I go into my bubble for 45 minutes, and for 45 minutes, I work, and I work on whatever it is that I need to work on. And I turn off my phone. I close down all of my windows on my computer so I don't hear the incoming emails and all of those things. And I do my best to just minimize distractions. I even share it with the people around me. So when my son was an appropriate age, I would be like, I'm going into my bubble. Do you need anything before I go into my bubble? I would tell my assistants, I would tell my staff, I'm going to be unavailable for the next 45 minutes. And unless it's an urgent matter, I get that work done. And then I can step out of my bubble and have about 15 minutes to check in on things. So it helps to quiet my mind, because I know for me at about 45 minutes, that's when I start to get a little bit of the FOMO going on, that fear of missing out. For some people, it's 15 or 20 minutes. Some people can extend it and do it longer. So you've got to find, the magic window that works for you. But when we can work for short periods of, intense focus with no distractions, we can get so much done in smaller periods of time. So I think that's one of the best, tools that I help people with, that really helps them with the managing of distractions. And then,
when they're going to be distracted too, right? Like knowing what time of day is a bad time to be working. If your husband's coming home wanting your attention, your children, like knowing when is the window that's the most opportune and the least distracting.
Exactly. Like I have learned, for me, I am better earlier in the day than later in the afternoon. So you got to, front load your days if that's how you work. You've got to understand that. You've got to communicate with those around you. And the truth is, as a single mom, I use bubble time with my son. If I went to the park, in the afternoon, I would work and I would be with him completely present for 45 minutes. Then I would say, oh, let me go get a snack. And then I could check in with my voicemails and emails. But my focus time was with my son. So you can use it for anything, but it's about being present where you need to be present and putting that focus there.
I love that. And I had to laugh when you said about the squirrels. We started out chasing squirrels, but at my gym, when I came out today, it's early in the morning, so the early crowd's gone and it was the only one there. And I walk out and I hear this loud noise and I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm always worried somebody's going to be hiding behind the garbage can in the morning when it's dark. And a squirrel leapt out of the garbage can.
Oh my gosh.
And I worry about it when I go to the dumpster. There's always some kind of an animal in there.
Little raccoons or something in there.
So I was just thinking it was kind of funny, but like we can get so easily distracted by things and not even realize that it took us off of the point and the focus that we were trying to make.
Yeah. And I think, again, we convince ourselves that we're fine, that we've got it all under control, and that, by being so available, that is something that we want to let our clients know. We like, oh, I'm available for you, all the time. But when you're overly available, you really can't be available the right way, because you're constantly starting and stopping and starting and stopping. Okay. And I noticed this for me in my business. My clients, some of the feedback was, oh, we always feel like we're interrupting you. We always feel like you're so busy. That's not great feedback. And when I started doing this bubble time, they started saying, you always call us back when you say you will. You always have the information for us. So by being a little bit unavailable and by being more intentional with my time and my focus, I was able to deliver a higher level of service, which actually brought me more business. So the idea is we don't have to be available 24/7. We don't need to answer every call, every email the second it comes in. That's not always the best business practice. What we need to do is deliver a great level of service and connection to our people. And we cannot do that if we're constantly distracted.
What are the signs that you're burnt out?
Well, there could be so many of them, and everybody is a little bit different. One, obviously, being tired. But I think it's like this avoidance item of just feeling like you just can't deal with it anymore. For me, a big sign for me was when I was driving to work and I was sort of hoping that I would get into an accident, not a bad one, but one that would just put me in the hospital for a couple of days so I could just have a couple days of nobody bothering me. So again, if you're kind of feeling like you are just depleted and you just, can't handle one more thing. So that's definitely a clear sign. Poor sleep patterns. Because again, when your brain is constantly going, you can't sleep, and then that feeds into it. A complete sense of overwhelm on the simplest things. Even that concept of sort of zombie driving, when you're like, how did I even get here? Those are areas, and again, very short fuses where just the smallest things sort of set you off. I think those are all key indicators that, again, you need to step away a little bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, what are the best ways for people then when they do have burnout, not to totally quit what they're doing, but to back away so they can get a better look?
Yeah. I think one of the best things, and as simple as it sounds, is you've got to carve out time in each day to fill yourself up. It's the old adage of the oxygen masks on the airplane. Again, if you are not serving yourself, you can't serve others. For me, the story that really hit home was with the human body. And we think about the heart, and the heart's purpose is to pump blood to all the other organs. But the organ that the heart pumps blood to first is itself. Because if it's not healthy, it can't pump blood to everything else. And it's the same thing for us. The best thing to do is to start creating a foundation that is going to fend off burnout. Because what we want to try to do is, again, live with more purpose and intention so that the burnout doesn't creep in. So it's things such as, protecting your morning. Again, getting a good night's sleep. It is, maybe I always say do 15 minutes of joy every day. So find time, do something that lights you up, no matter what it is, but do something that lights you up from the inside. But we need to understand that running 24/7 it's going to catch up with you. And you're not even going to notice the small ways that it's starting to impact you until it's almost too late. Most of us don't pay attention until the health issues, the divorce, the strained relationships. So what we want to do is, again, work with that. So time blocking, scheduling, being in control of your time, because whoever controls your time will control your life and your business. Setting expectations with others around you, asking for what you need. Everybody is different, extrovert, introvert, whatever. But like for me, I know, and because my career is so extroverted, I have to go into my recovery zone to, again, get my energy back so I can go and speak the next day. So for me, being able to say, you know what, I need some quiet time. Even, I take a sister trip with my sisters each year. And usually by about day 4, I'm like, I need a couple hours to myself. And at first, everybody thinks it's weird. Now they all know that's just how I need to operate. But you have to ask for what you need, because if you cannot take care of yourself, people will take whatever you give them. So you have
right
on,
on. You're a giver.
Yeah,
and you have
to advocate and stand up for yourself. And even if people think you're crazy, I'm an early bird. I know that I perform better in the morning, which also means that I go to bed very early. Everybody in my circle teases me. That's what I need. So I don't care anymore. That's what I need. So you have to start just getting clear on what is it that you need. And you need to, demand that. It doesn't matter if they agree with it. They have to respect it, though.
I love that. And I think sometimes as women, we're afraid to make waves and stand up for ourselves. We don't want to be considered bitchy. Like, we
Or a
don't ask.
diva, or,
Yeah,
oh, we
or a
have all,
diva.
yeah.
Yeah. And we don't ask for what we need so much. And we people please, because I think that was just kind of ingrained in, the nurturing aspects. And so, but the thing is, if you're people pleasing everyone, then you're leaving yourself out of that mix. And somewhere along the line, you're going to have to be like, no, I can't do that.
Right.
And I need to get to bed if you're getting up at 4, I need to go to bed at 9 or whatever time it is.
Exactly. And again, it all comes back to, the quality that you're serving others and being able to deliver value. And you just cannot do that when you're not well. I mean, you might show up physically, but you're not going to be there and truly be there. And what most people want, whether it's personal or professional, they want you to be there and to be present with them. And sometimes saying no has to be the best thing. And Christy Wright, who is another business coach and author,
I had her on. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love her. And one of the things that she said that really stood out with me is that, an honest no is better than a dishonest yes. And that's what we have to remember. And saying no doesn't mean that we're mean or unkind. Sometimes it's the best thing that we can do, because if we can't truly deliver what it is that person needs, we have to be honest with them. And we have to understand, we have to start respecting that of each other.
And honest with ourselves. And honest on what things we can actually do and the things we should say no to.
Yep. Exactly.
So, and you also talk a lot about success, and that success is easy when you have the right focus. And you have 7 core areas that you say lead to success. Can you kind of go over each one with us?
Absolutely. So this is sort of how the clarity model is built. So with the clarity model, again, just breaking down my name, the first one is the C, and it stands for, creating your vision, not just your vision of your life, but also your vision of who it is you need to become. Understanding what it is that you are working towards, not just monetarily, but what does that whole picture and that whole vision look like? So we want to help get clarity of vision. The second one is leveraging your time. Again, learning how to use your time to its highest and best use, because it's not about how many hours, it's how are we investing those hours. So learning how to understand that, and then tying that with the first A, which is identifying the core actions you need to take. Again, getting back to, we don't need to do everything. And in all essence, we probably need to do less, but do those things at a higher level. So getting really clear on what are the core fundamental activities that you need to do to move your business in the right direction. Tying that with the R, which is all about rest and recovery. So talking about that, the importance of, again, self-care, how to make it work for you. And again, identifying what brings you joy so that you can light yourself up and build your energy from the inside, which is going to help you be able to serve at a higher level as well. And then the second A is all about articulating your value. With the economic law, money flows towards value. So in business, it's all about, who can I serve today? Who can I deliver value today? Not who can I sell something to today? Because when you lead with value, that's how you build relationships and trust, which is the foundation of long-term success in anything that we're doing. Then we have to do the T, which is all about tracking and measuring. We've got to know what we're doing, because not everything works. So let's look at it. If it's working, how can we continue doing it and make it better? If it's not working, why? Do we not have the right system? Are we not, implementing it the right way? Do we not understand how to do it the right way? So again, starting to track and measure so that we can build our business and our life around the things that are truly working for us and bringing us the success that we want. And then finally, the why is for, yes, it's time to celebrate. We wait far too long to celebrate. So looking at how we can celebrate, along the way, our successes, have some of those milestones, but even at the end of each day, as simple as it is, celebrating each day. So what I do is I run a gratitude practice every day, but I call it bookending my days. So I start my days with gratitude. What am I grateful for going into each day? But then I come back at the end of the day, because most of us at the end of the day, when we're feeling depleted, empty, and tired, all we focus on is everything we didn't get done. Well, that's ending the day negatively, because even in the midst of not getting it done, there still is beauty in each day. So I like to end my day with, what are 3 great things that happened today? Because that way we're starting and ending our days with gratitude for the beauty that is around us and for what we are truly accomplishing, and recognizing that, because we get a lot done and we need to start honoring ourselves for that.
And also, when we're living by unrealistic standards, which probably 99% of us are, I would say a huge number of us live by unrealistic standards.
Yep.
How does that put us in a mental prison? It kind of
when we are living by all the standards created by others, society, all of those things, again, we're chasing something that is unattainable. And so therefore, we're never going to reach that point of feeling fulfilled. And so we have to start understanding, what is it that works for us? Start letting go of the judgment, because nobody else has to walk in our shoes. We all have different life dynamics, different family dynamics, and what works for someone may or may not work for you. And when we do that, when we start living by others, again, we create this prison around us, and we can't escape from it. And we're just always sort of, again, trying to climb our way out. What we want to do is break down those walls and rebuild it according to what works for us, so that we can create success on our terms. And then we own it, we show up. And again, it's not about creating a business plan or anything. It's about creating a success plan for our life, which includes every aspect of it. And again, knowing that we can do it on our terms. I had a client, and in their family, the husband stayed home and watched the kids. That was their dynamic, that they had to get to. For some people, it's working a few hours, then taking a pause to pick their kids up from school and be a parent, and then coming back and doing some work at night. So you have to find, what is it that's going to work for you, and own it, and make sure that that foundation is what you live by. And you have to let go of what others say, because it's not their life.
Now, how did you arrive at this point? I mean, I want to know the 411 and the backstory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, I was living my life on that hamster wheel, checking off all the boxes, getting the promotion. And, all of that led to health issues, divorces, all of those. And, as I was working full time, building my consulting business, going and getting my master's, and raising my son. And, I was not showing up anywhere with 100%. I mean, I was there physically, but I was just racing through everything. And when my son came to me that one night and said, "You're not paying attention to me," that was the moment that just hit my heart. And, after I put him to bed and was lying on the floor, in those tears, wondering how I got here, because according to everyone else, I had done all the right things. So why wasn't it working? And it was then and there that I had to make a decision. Was this going to be another day where I just woke up tomorrow and just brushed it off and pretended like it never happened? Or was I going to start doing things differently? And that's where I started, putting in more boundaries, putting in expectations, very simple expectation, telling my clients, when you leave me a message or an email, I need 3 hours to get back with you. Because if I am with another client, I need to be focused, and that gave me the permission to not answer all these things. Again, my bubble time, being able to be present where I needed to be present. And what I also found is that the right clients started coming to me, because I had always had this fear of, if my son gets sick, I'm going to have to do a coaching call while I'm carrying my son, and because I can't say no. And what I realized is being able to go to the right clients and say, I have to ask if we could reschedule because my son is sick. And the right people were like, we understand. I didn't lose any business. And in fact, more business came to me because they said, you're real, you're authentic, you know what we're going through. And I think that's one of the things that has made me so successful with other working moms, is because I've done it. I've lived it. My son is now almost 18, and we have an amazing relationship because I had to learn to put all of these things into practice. And I was afraid of losing clients. And the truth is I did lose some clients, but I lost the right clients and I gained the right clients.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're in a service-oriented industry, you could be on that spectrum that you were first on, where you have the fear of losing.
Yep.
If you just make a mistake or you just didn't show
Mm-hmm.
up one day or
Yep.
whatever. And I think changing the mindset around that is, you gave yourself some grace
Mm-hmm.
to be a human, be able to stay home with your son. That's the whole reason to be in your own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he's sick, and you set a boundary. And like you said, the right clients will understand,
Yep.
the wrong ones will go. And
Exactly.
so many times when you do set a boundary, I did recently, you might lose somebody because you said no
Mm-hmm.
and you knew what your
Yep.
worth was. And that sometimes you will lose someone,
Mm-hmm.
but like, what was it, someone you wanted to keep if you could not
Exactly.
honor your own like boundaries
Mm-hmm.
or your own space or your own life? Now, I'm not saying like to the point of you never show up for these people,
Well,
but
right. Exactly. But it's again, it's going back to, are we making smart business decisions? And you have to think of it this way. If somebody comes to me and says, oh, well, I need you to be available for me at 9 o'clock at night, I'm in bed at 8:30. So it's not right for me to try to tell them that I can meet their expectations. It would be better for me to be honest with them today rather than disappointing them tomorrow. So it's again going back to the business decision. We each have a role to play, and these are the expectations. And for some people, my process may not work for some people. And you know what? That's okay, because we don't need everyone. We need the right ones who are going to trust us, trust our process, and work with us. Again, all of us are working together, and sometimes going to them saying, I don't feel I'm the best choice for you. Who that's giving, and sometimes that's the best thing. Sometimes I love the person, but when I hear their goals, I'm like, I'm not the right person to get you to that goal, but let me connect you with someone who is the right person. And it's that abundant mindset of knowing that there is enough for all of us.
yes, and I think also you learn who you want to work with
Mm-hmm.
and who you don't work well with.
Right. You do. You
Like,
do.
you learn to dodge bullets as you
Mm-hmm.
go along, especially
Yeah.
as I think as a coach.
Yeah. And I think, again, because I know there's probably people listening who are, either starting out or, again, don't have the ability to be all the way at the end right now because they're starting. And this is where I even say, like things like the bubble time and the 15 minutes of joy. You are going to be working harder your first few years. Again, you're
Mm-hmm.
building a business, but that doesn't mean that you have to still open yourself up 24/7. You
Yeah.
can still have these guidelines on a smaller level. You don't necessarily have to say, I'm done with work at 3. That might come later, but again, having those time constraints, having the time blocking, because you need to set the stage and you need to set the foundation, because again, people will take whatever time we give them.
Well, I also think it kind of goes back to, I remember when I was dating and I set the boundaries of what I would and would not
Mm-hmm.
put up with, and,
Yeah.
like right up front. And I think save yourself some time and just start right away, because the best time to set a boundary is now, not
Absolutely.
later.
You can,
Up
it's so hard
front.
to go
It's
backwards.
hard to go
Mhm.
backwards. It's the best time to decide what your boundaries are, what your non-negotiables are. What, does it need to look like for you in the
Mhm.
long term?
Yeah.
Because if you're not honoring your boundaries up front, it's so hard to turn that bus around.
It is.
So,
It really is. So
yeah.
again, just doing that and not again being afraid. Again, the right people will respect you. It's not that you can't change it. It's not that you can't alter it. It's not that you can't decide to go outside of the lines, but that's your decision. And again, you have to just understand that. But people in every other profession do it, but as independent contractors, we sometimes again get that fear and that scarcity mindset that we have to be overly available. And we just have to remember we're still running a business. We are still a CEO. It doesn't matter if we're a CEO of an organization of one or 1,001. We are still running a business, and we have to start having that mindset of being a CEO and making those decisions.
So much. What are the four key factors needed to be the CEO of your life and business?
Again, vision. You got to know what you're
Mhm.
working for. Passion. You got to, again, be passionate about, what you're doing. Taking time for reflection is another big one. And
Mhm.
then I think setting, clear, solid communication, setting those guidelines and having open communication.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be the CEO of your business, but more importantly, you want to be the CEO of your life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think like you've given so many great tips today for people to kind of be able to tune in, recognize, are they having burnout? What I found the key thing is, if you have burnout, you're not setting boundaries somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That to me is like a telltale sign, is that
Mm-hmm.
you're not. And sometimes when if you don't clear space, like sometimes we don't give ourselves enough space. We don't give ourselves enough space. That's why we're burnout. But also, you don't give yourself enough space for you to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You gave it to everyone else. You didn't give to yourself. And for your dreams to come in, you have to have space. And sometimes you'll wonder why space is clearing where you're always busy. And then you're like, oh, if the space hadn't cleared, I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of this
Exactly.
opportunity
Yep.
coming. So I think space is very important. It's an important aspect of keeping yourself free from burnout.
Absolutely. You have to. You got to have that space to reflect, to ground yourself. And again, always remember that when things happen, are you going to look at the obstacle or the opportunity that can come from it?
So good. I loved every minute today. Tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about your book and show everyone this book that you.
Yeah, so here is the book. It's called The Mother of All Success Manuals. It is how to control your days, lose the guilt, and find the harmony between work and life. So it is my gift to the mompreneurs out there. So it goes through 3 different sections of mindset, skill sets, and actions, and really breaking it down. So it covers how to set boundaries and expectations, how to communicate with those around you personally and professionally, how to again create your vision, and then a lot of the practical applications of time blocking, of knowing your value. So it has that, and then it has action steps inside of it. So it has sort of the idea of a workbook along with it, that you can not only take the tools and the strategies, but learn how to actually implement them in your world. So it'll be out July 27th.
What was your inspiration behind the book?
My life and just seeing so many women struggling, and knowing that for me, I do not want another woman to have to go through what I went through when I was lying on that bathroom floor in tears. I don't want another woman beating herself up and thinking that she is not enough and that she is failing, because we win more than we fail, but we just don't recognize it. And so I wanted to be able to have my story and be able to share on a more global level, because again, I want women to not have that level of burnout, and again, know that there is harmony in it, and that they can find that level of peace and just be back in the driver's seat of their own life and business.
Love it, love it. And when will the book be out and where can we get you on social media?
Yeah, the book will be out July 27th. And we are going to have a waiting list going in for pre-orders on my website. So everything's on the website at claracapano.com. And then all over social media, it's just by my name, Clara Capano, so they can find me there. Follow me. I'll be sharing lots of tips. My shows, all of those good things. So yeah, would love. My goal is to impact 1 million lives or more this year. So the more people that follow, we're going to create that ripple effect of positivity and change.
Yeah, I love that. We're in alignment. I want to affect 1 million women and bring them the message from the Sisterhood of Sweat and get us all together in alignment, supporting one another. So I loved everything you had to say today. I think it's a great message for women out there that are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, burnt out, like they need someone to give them permission to take a
Mm-hmm.
break. And we're giving you that permission today. And
Yes.
I thank you so much. And as always, you guys keep on keeping on. Let us know what resonated today. And Clara, thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda. I appreciate everything you're doing. Thanks for the opportunity to share.